In today's video, we're taking a look at how to make loaf bread easy and simple. This is so easy, anyone could do. Everything that we use on the video, we're gonna leave a link on the description. And don't forget to give us a like and subscribe, that does help us out a lot, thank you. So you woke up today with some cravings for some homemade bread. Don't worry, here at the StatUpBox team, we've got your back. And the first thing that you're gonna need is hardware. If you want the bread to look square like the one that we just saw, then you want one with a lid. But let's say you like more the oval shape at the top, then just a regular bread pan would be suffice. Or you could even use the same one but without the lid. Now that we filled your brain with hardware information, we're ready to start. And for this particular recipe, we're doing a loaf bread that weighs about 2 pounds, which is 907 grams. You would need 4 cups, which is about 480 grams. That would fit 13-inch pan. So basically on the loaf size and weight is the amount of cups that you're gonna need. And here we're gonna give you a list of the amounts depending on the weight of your loaf. We're gonna go ahead and add 2 tablespoons of sugar, or about 25 grams, and we're gonna go ahead and mix that well. And a pro tip, always remember to use both arms when mixing. The last thing you want is to show those arms and have uneven pumps. We're gonna go ahead and mix the liquids. Here we're gonna use 1.5 cups of milk, which is about 360 grams. You can also use the same amount of water or do a half and half. And we're basically gonna take the liquid to the stove to heat. And we want to heat it to the specifications of your particular yeast. In our case, which is usually the average, is about 100 Fahrenheit to a maximum of 110 Fahrenheit, which is 37.7 Celsius to 43.3 Celsius. Now that we tortured our victim, heated up our liquid, we're ready to add our yeast. And for this amount, we're gonna use 2 teaspoons and a quarter, which is about 7 grams. We're gonna go ahead and mix it well, and we're basically doing this to bloom the yeast. This makes sure that we have a good working yeast, meaning that's alive. Because the last thing you want is a dead yeast, or expired, or DOA, because we don't want to go from cooking to hiding evidence. Letting it sit for 5 to 10 minutes should be enough. Once we see the volcano erupt, once we see the little bubbles or foam, we're good to go. Our next ingredient is butter, and we're gonna use 6 tablespoons, which is about 85.2 grams. And you can use melted butter, softened butter, you can use more butter, less butter. If you don't want to use butter, you can use olive oil or vegetable oil, or your favorite oil, and you can use the same amounts. Once the butter has cooled down, we can go ahead and mix it with our yeast mixture. Now that we have all our ingredients ready, we're ready for the building process. So this is the part of the video where you wear your hard hat. We're gonna get our stand mixer and put our dough attachment. You can also knead this by hand, save money on gym membership, receiving a standing ovation from the StatUpBox team. You can do it, grasshopper. This is a time where we mix our powdered ingredients with our liquid. We're gonna start at the speed number 3 and work our way up to the number 5. This may differ according to your machine. Once we notice it pulls from the bowl, we're gonna do a 5-minute timer. If you're doing it by hand, this might take you 20 to 30 minutes, or a lifetime. Here they become one, until death separates them. In their case, they will become royalty because they're gonna end in the throne. If you think a lot about that joke, you're gonna notice that your appetite is gonna go away. So don't think about it that much. After the 5 minutes are up, now we're gonna go ahead and let it rest for 5 minutes. If you're kneading by hand, we'll see you at the end of the video, but probably you won't see us. Meanwhile, we let the dough rest. We're gonna go ahead and mix our salt mixture, and we're gonna use 1.5 teaspoons of salt, which is about 9 grams, and mix it in with 1 teaspoon of water, which is about 5 grams. You can place the salt without the water, but we've noticed that mixing it with liquid, it mixes a lot better. We go ahead and mix it well until mostly dissolved, and we're ready to splash our victim's wound, the dough, with some salt water. We turn on the stand mixer and mix it in until it's mixed. About 1 to 2 minutes should be be fine. Now that our world-class hotel guest has gone to the beach, we're ready to transfer this to a bowl that's lubed up. I mean that's oiled down with some family-friendly oil or butter. And to help the dough grow or double in size, we're gonna try to shape it to a ball. And remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. What we do is push with our hands inward and twist. Once we have something that looks similar to a ball, we go ahead and transfer it to our bowl and move it all around so it could get oiled up and ready for the after party. I mean for the growing process. We can go ahead and cover it using a damp towel, some cling wrap, or we like to use a new shower cap that can be reused many times. And when we mean reuse, we mean only for this process. We already saw many of you going to the bathroom, but who are we to judge? Wink wink. And depending on the temperature of your location, this might take from 30 minutes all the way to 2 hours. We're basically looking for double the size or at least close enough. We're gonna go ahead and punch all the air out, take out all that frustration from your loved one. I mean, practice on your home defense skills. I mean, becoming internal peace. You know what I mean. Before we go on to the next process, we're gonna go ahead and turn on our oven to 380 degrees Fahrenheit or about 193.3 degrees Celsius. In our case, we like to place a pan with water inside the stove. This helps with the bread's softness and it doesn't let it dry out. This is optional. Now we can get back to our stress relieving table, I mean to our working station, and oil our bread pan. If we're using a pan with a lid, we want to oil the lid as well. You can see how you started seeing a video for bread, but you actually became a oiling master. Who said here at the StatUpBox team, we're not preparing you for the world. We believe in you, grasshopper. We're gonna lightly powder our martial arts station with some flour and place our dough. We're basically just gonna roll it up to the size of the pan. Nothing fancy. But if you want to practice your dicing, slicing, rolling, dividing, splitting technique, you can. But like the ancient rule says, if it works, it works. Easier, the better. Once we have the correct size, or approximately, because nothing's perfect, we go ahead and place it on the bread pan. If you have a lid, we go ahead and place it. If you don't, we want to go ahead and cover it. And yes, you can use the shower cap. Yes to the new one, not the used one. But who's watching? Wink wink. And we're basically gonna let it grow until we're almost half an inch to the top or the lid. If you're using one without a lid, you can let it reach to the rim or even 1 inch above the rim. If you're using a pan without a lid, this would be the time to brush your loaf with an egg wash. We have a video on how to do an egg wash. We'll leave a link on the description. If you don't have eggs, you can always use oil or butter. Now we're ready to take it to the oven. We want to put it in the halfway point of the oven, which is the middle rack of the middle center of the circumference of the radius of the middle. And depending on your oven, this might take from 25 minutes to 35 minutes, or until we reach an internal temperature of 200 degrees Fahrenheit to 210 Fahrenheit, or 93.3 Celsius to 98.8 Celsius, or to your color doneness. Once the timer is up, or we've gotten to the desired temperature or color doneness, we're gonna remove the bread from the pan and let it rest on a cooling rack. And we're gonna leave it there for about 1 hour to 2 hours at the maximum, or until completely cool. And this is a very important process because this is gonna let your bread finish cooking and be more airy. And we know this is something very hard to ask now that your whole house smells like wonderful homemade bread, but it is your kingdom. And whatever things and stuff you want to do to that loaf of bread is up to you. We don't judge. Now you're ready to slice. And how thick or thin you want your slices, that's up to you. And yes, we're talking about the bread. Now you can pat yourself on the back for a job well done. You become a master oiler, a breader, a massager, a spiritual sensei, among many others. Don't forget, if you like the video, please give us a thumbs up. That really helps. If you have any questions, place them in the comment section below. Either someone in the StatUpBox team or someone in the YouTube community can help you out with an answer. Don't forget to subscribe, follow us on social media. Thank you for watching, and here's a link to our latest video.